Here we are.
The good news is that we do a pod on Saturday. 2/3 of the people listen Monday, Tuesday. So maybe they'll just be in a good mood after the Orlando game, the invisible Orlando game that happens during the Eagles playoff game. And maybe they'll be happy, and they'll be like, why are Mike and Spike so upset with this loss that actually didn't mean anything because we beat this good Orlando team? Probably not, though, but maybe.
Doubt it.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right. Trying to look for something entertaining, like a prop.
Oh, a fake mustache?
Distract the audience.
Silly hat?
So again, those would actually not be. So look, okay, so
Okay.
There's always on sets. There's always like issues between like not issues, but sometimes like the costume department and the props department and
Okay.
like set dressing based on like whose responsibility is what.
Mm-hmm.
And so a fake mustache, if I just had it on,
Yep.
would be costumes.
Okay.
If I had it and I was like doing this with it,
It would be a prop.
it would be a prop.
Okay.
And so there's all these like
Okay.
sort of
So you're looking for a prop,
lines in
not
it. I was looking for a prop. And set dressing is like, okay, like if there's a weird lamp, if it's just there, then it's set dressing. But if it's there and it has to like break in a certain way, then it's a prop. Like it's all the delineation of responsibilities is all very specific.
Huh.
These departments argue at times over who belongs to who.
Yeah, they sometimes, not at least in some shows I've been on. Occasionally, there's like people be like, I think that's set dress, like in like a production meeting or something like that. It'd be like, I think that's them. That's not us. And people been like, no. So fun to see if it's like something particularly annoying or something. I think they would be like, no, that's them.
Well, so I want you to hold a mustache.
Okay, well then that's a prop. I'll talk to the prop department at my house, and we'll find something.
All right, here we go. Everyone's holding the mustache. The Rights To Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. By the way, if you're listening to this on the weekend, that's where you got to bet all your super wild card weekend action. DraftKings. And brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. BodyBio, get 20% off any BodyBio order with code Norman, bodybio.com. And LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights To Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. Oh, and of course, Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, Sixers' worst loss of the year against New Orleans. It's definitely possible, but at least the white party is done forever. We will discuss that as well. Look, I didn't say there wasn't good news. Jared McCain officially out for the season, and a couple of great listener questions. One, whose fault is all this? And two, should we have kept James Harden instead of going for Paul George? This is where we are right now. There is a new episode of the Draft Council, which is out right now. They're checking in on high school prospects right now. Draft Council is our 52-week-a-year NBA draft podcast hosted by Dan Olinger and Ahmed Jama. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And just search Draft Council. And I did mention Kinetic Skateboarding. So I was on the Kinetic Skateboarding website today, kineticskateboarding.com, and they have a whole section with a bunch of new Thrasher gear. CJ, put it up there. Yeah, there we go. So here's the I think the issue with Thrasher gear, which I like. I have a couple of Thrasher hoodies, is that you are definitely a poser if you don't skateboard and you wear Thrasher stuff. The question is, do you care that you are perceived as a poser by skateboarders? And I have gone with, I don't care. think Ben assured me that even though I'm a poser, Ben from Kinetic, it's okay. So there's all these great t-shirts and hoodies, all this cool Thrasher stuff. Like, look, maybe you skateboard. So then it's fine. But if you don't understand that's what you're getting into, I still think it's cool. By the way, they are your snowboard headquarters. If you need your snowboard tuned, waxed, all that sort of stuff, Kinetic is your source. If you go to kineticskateboarding.com, you use promo code Dave Silver. If it's your first order, you get 9.1% off. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Laddie, sweetie, that man is here. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name, say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name, say the name, say the name. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. Say the name.
Rights to Ricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is an expert at dealing with the politics of the prop department versus the costume department. That is one Mike Rubin.
Hello.
Hi.
Just worst loss of the year, definitely.
Worse than the Sacramento loss?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because
That was the only one.
Because New Orleans is the worst team in the league.
Yes. 7 wins coming into this. I believe 1 road win or 2 road wins coming into this. And
Worst
also
loss they don't have Zion. They don't have Herb
Ingram.
Jones. They don't have Trey Murphy.
right.
And you give up 70 points in the second half to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's outrageous.
we don't have to spend too much time, but like, again, LA's on fire. It's been like a really hard few days for like friends and family. I'm okay. And I'm like, okay, watch this game. Let's just fucking watch the Sixers win. Let's just watch the Sixers win. Let's put the fire tracking down for a second. And let's just watch the Sixers beat up on a bad team.
Nope.
And if any listeners thought that like I have a good sense of priorities in life, where it's like, Mike's probably not going to care about this game because like so many other like scary, more important things are going on. Wrong, unfortunately, because I was furious last night watching this game.
Yeah. This
I
was
was-
a bad one.
I was irate. The defense was so bad,
The entire game. And
so bad.
And by the way, when you look at, and it was just like, it's not like New Orleans was doing anything like particularly complicated. We just couldn't guard pick and roll like the entire time. Like it's all it was. And when you look at I saw a couple people say, like, when you look at this is why you have to watch the games. Well, don't watch the games, but not just look at the box score. Look at the box score. You're like, well, this was really like the backups and, the bench and like the starters. There are some plus guys in there. No, like down the stretch, we couldn't guard them. And that was all the starters. Like there was plenty of time, by the way, and plenty of opportunities to win this game.
Plenty. I mean, there's obviously like you could take some good things away from it, whatever. We can be even-handed, but we just don't have to be. It's like the defense was so bad. It was like CJ gets hot early, McCollum. They couldn't stop him, and then they helped too far off him, and then everybody else gets a fuck ton of open looks. You keep losing Jordan Hawkins, who's like, do they not know the scouting report? Like, he's the shooter. It's the same shit. It's the same shit that happened with Corey Kispert. Like, it's egregious. Don't leave him open. Run him off the line. He's not going to... It's end of the third quarter, Reggie Jackson runs 20 feet away from Jose Alvarado to run at the basketball. CJ McCollum correctly identifies that there's 40 people on him and somebody's probably open. He finds Jose Alvarado wide open at 3. He hits an easy open 3 to beat the buzzer. And then the Sixers decide, okay, we're going to go to zone. Let's mix it up. And their zone fucking sucks because now they also don't rebound. They aren't communicating. It's some of the easiest looks anyone's ever seen. Fucking Jose Alvarado, Dan Tice pick and rolls are crushing them.
Well, you as a coach, tell me this. Isn't it, if you don't have consistency with your roster, right? Guys are in and out. Isn't zone like feels like it's more difficult? Like there's more chance something's going to fuck up than just playing man and saying switch everything or whatever. Like it seems to me like zone seems like a worse idea to me.
Spike, you know that I think that for sure.
All right.
I don't. The idea of like, well, nothing's fucking working, so let's try zone to at least slow them down. But the problem is, like, fundamentally, Nick Nurse and the Sixers are making a bet that NBA players cannot find the open man one easy pass away.
Well,
that is the bet that they make. That they go like, if we double them, they will fold. They will try to take like a fadeaway 19-footer with two guys on him. And like you said, the Sixers most of the time can't do that. But most NBA players can pretty easily find an open man if the double is being sent at them. They can pretty easily go, oh, this person is open. That means the weak side corner is open. That means the big rolling is wide open. It's so many brain lapses all over the court. CJ misses 2 foul shots at an important time, gets his own rebound, hits a 3. The Pelicans get 2 steals from behind from oblivious guys whose teammates weren't calling it out. The Sixers folded massively against the Pelican zone. Like, not enough shooting or quick decision making in there. Like, if Eric Gordon's not going to play when the Pelicans go zone and like every single time,
yeah, then what's the purpose of
Eric Gordon?
Put him on the wing, 5 feet beyond the 3-point line, which is his entire career.
That's all he is.
He's comfortable shooting it. He will shoot it every time. He will be open from there in a zone because nobody's going to be able to get to him. And if they do, you're going to have an open fucking layup.
Their lineup, and this is like Nick Nurse, I think has had a horrible season. I think he has had a bunch of excuses, he rightfully so because of the injuries and everything. Those are valid.
Reasons
but I do think
excuses. Yeah,
I do think he's been bad. But like going against a zone, the lineup being Maxey, obviously, and then Caleb Martin, who has a slow release, Ricky Council, who has no release, and arguably shouldn't like be in at all. He had a decent game, a couple nice moments offensively, right, but like not a 3-point threat in a reasonable way. Kelly Oubre, who's been struggling from 3 for a while, although he had a decent night from the corners, and Adem Bona, who they refuse. Like, look, I think Bona's had a nice couple moments here and there. Obviously, as a rookie, second-round rookie, whatever. But like, if they're not going to utilize him as a lob threat, what is he doing there on offense? He's just rolling. Nobody's looking for it. Watching like Yves Missi get like easy lobs down the middle of the lane because DeJounte Murray, who's not like a thrilling passer, is just looking for it. Like, no one is looking for a rolling big. And it's like, that's what he does. How do you not know that? Find him, utilize him, make them cover him. Because once you have to cover him on the roll, then other shit will be easier. Like, it's so frustrating to watch them just like limit on offense, limit like things that they could do because of reasons that are baffling to me. A lack of passing, a lack of quick decision making. And then on defense, sell out as if they're covering themselves and allow other teams to go like, oh, it's right here. Thank you. Here's where it is. I'll just take it this way. It's like, I'm making a soccer reference for the first time ever. It'd be like if a soccer goalie was like
soccer sounder here.
It'd be like if a soccer goalie was like hugging one of the sides of the goal. What's the crossbar? The side, whatever. And like the whole other goal is the rest of the goal is open, but they're like, we got to cover this side. As if they don't make it right here, just this right side of the goal, then then we're fine. And it's like, well, they just scored on the other side of the goal pretty easily because it's like you have to run 20 fucking feet to cover the other side. And he's like, well, we couldn't do that. It was just really, really bad. It was really embarrassing. Isaiah Joe had 31 points in an easy OKC win against the Knicks. I'm just like, fuck you, fuck everything. It was just really, really a hideously bad game, and they should be embarrassed. And they're 15 and 21.
Yes,
and they'll probably make the play-in. But like once again, like, it's not gonna happen. It's just like not gonna happen. And if Joel keeps missing time with a thing, he's missed 3 games now with a sprained foot.
Yes.
That they're saying like, it's not a big deal. It's like, well,
he's missed a week of games.
He's missed a week of games.
Yep.
Again.
By the way, he's missed as many games in a row as he played in a row. Yeah. By the way, if we're giving him credit for 5,
it's just, yeah.
Day to day, don't worry. He's working on a court afterwards.
There's just no connectivity like on this team. There's just like no connectivity whatsoever. And the offense doesn't have like bread and butter stuff to like simplify it and make it go like, hey, Reggie Jackson, just do this. I know you're not playing that much, but just do this when you're in there. Eric Gordon, just do this. Like play with flow. Like everybody is just like confused and slow and defensively completely just like pointing. That's my least favorite thing. I've talked about this before. But when defenders are like, okay, I'm going to help the middle. So it's a pick and roll again with fucking Daniel Tice and Jose Alvarado. Not the most like dynamic players in the league here. Reggie Jackson is on Jordan Hawkins, who once again only shoots threes. He had a great game. Second year guy to UConn. And he decides I'm going to help off of him to be the low man in the pick and roll. And the idea that like Reggie Jackson is going to stop like a Daniel Tice lob attempt is beyond me. But I'm going to go do that. And so while he does that, from behind Eric Gordon's back, he points at Jordan Hawkins. Just points at him. Eric Gordon can't see that.
Yeah, right.
Because you're behind him. So Eric Gordon is getting screened by his guy. EG thinks like, well, I'm covering my guy. I'm giving him like a nice big hug. I'm doing my job. Good for me. But he doesn't know that Reggie Jackson has pointed in a general direction of a wide open shooter. Jose Alvarado makes the easiest pass of his career to Jordan Hawkins, who hits a 3 because no one is out on him. And it's just like at a certain point, and they also couldn't keep guys in front of them. So like it's not like had they switched everything, it would have been like the answer, because they just weren't keeping anyone in front because the defense, their personnel is weak and the effort is low too much. I thought Caleb Martin was good defensively, but like everybody else I thought was pretty bad. But at a certain point, like the answer has to be, well, let's at least not give up wide open looks. Let's at least try to not give up wide the fuck open looks. And if CJ hits like pull-ups off the dribble and DeJounte Murray's mid-range game is going, and Jose Alvarado's hitting floaters, and you go like, well, okay, that happens sometimes. But like the answer can't be let them step into the easiest practice threes you've ever seen. I just don't understand it whatsoever. It was really, really bad.
Yeah, and it was like, to me, the entire game was bad, but there was one scenario that it made me want to kill all of them, that my rage hit the top. And I think it started with a wide open Paul George missed 3. Then Nick Nurse gets a fucking technical, like for yelling about I think a backcourt violation or something. But he obviously, like, there's a rule. You can't cross that fucking line on the side. And he did it. He cost him a point there. And then CJ McCollum, who is a wonderful free throw shooter, gives us a fucking gift and misses both free throws. And we can't get a rebound off of a fucking free throw because whatever. I know we are at a size disadvantage here, but like you have to care a little bit. And Yabusele seems to be like the only one who does. And then we give up a wide open fucking CJ McCollum 3. So he hands us 2 points and we hand him back 3. And like, as they were trying to get back into the game or whatever, with what could have been, I think, a 4-point game if Paul George hits that 3, it ends up as a fucking 9-point game again. Yeah. And it was like that entire thing. It was a really pathetic showing. Really, really pathetic. But Big Barker, the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. I'm actually for Big Barker, which I believe it keeps your dogs, and it's true, keeps your dog healthier and happier. It is the dog bed you need. Just 2 listener write-ins about the Big Barker that I thought were important, and then I'll tell you where to get it. This came from Eric. Hey, Spike, Mike, CJ, and Eric from Big Barker. From Eric, different Eric. About 6 or 7 years ago, I ordered a big barker for my dog Otis, but he sleeps in bed with me and my wife, so the big barker sits in our living room for daytime use. Got that? That's why we have 2 of them. On New Year's Eve, my teenage daughter had about 10 friends sleep over. A mixed gender party. They're good kids. We trust them. And my wife and I were mostly around all the time anyway. You don't have to defend yourself here, Eric. And then between couch space and air mattresses, we were 1 bed short in our living room. So one of the kids decided to sleep on Otis's big barker. Please let Mike know that a teenage boy sleeping on a big barker was not on my bingo card New Year's Eve. Anyway, the kid woke up the next morning feeling fine, having a solid night's sleep. So we have learned that the big barker, though made for dogs, is a perfectly viable sleeping option for some humans and an easy choice over a sleeping bag on a hard floor. So there you go. There's one good big barker note. And the second one we got from, I think, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, A-B-H-I, sent us in a Process Pup, Kango. So Kango came from Act Philly. And she like completely destroys everything. But Kango got a big barker. She's 8 to 10 months old, a ton of energy. There she is. Very strong pit bull. And her favorite player is Gershon Yabusele. But there you go. And I just want to say quickly about ACT. ACT is a shelter in Philadelphia that sometimes gets a lot of heat. They have a very, very, very difficult job being a shelter in Philadelphia, dealing with pit bulls, a lot of strays, a lot of, unfixed dogs. So just want to send my love to ACT. And if you have the opportunity to adopt, any adoption is good, but if you can adopt from ACT, that's really, really great. So good on you for adopting Kango from ACT. If you need a big barker, which you do for your dog or your daughter's teenage friend, you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. You get 2 Process Pup patches, black and white one, red, white, and blue one, bunch of stickers. And you also get a bed that is going to keep your dog healthier and happier. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, they'll give you a full refund. They'll even pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog pets.
Woof.
2 other quick notes from the game. Paul George did have a good offensive second half overall, got to the rim a few times, created a few times, hit some shots, whatever. And I kind of like Adembona. I think when he stops getting like rookie calls or whatever and gets a little bit stronger, and you've mentioned this, he feels like a backup big in the NBA for quite a long time. Yeah. Just like very good athlete. I think has pretty good instincts as a shot blocker. And I imagine will be like, he has I don't know about skill wise, but he has the physical makeup of a guy that would be a good pick and roll lob threat kind of guy. So
yeah, I mean, if the Sixers ever have anybody that is willing to throw a lob, I don't know if that's against the rules. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like every team in the league is running like pick and roll, big man rolls to the rim and it has his hands high, ready to jump for it, and the Sixers just don't. They just don't do it. But yeah, I thought PG. I also like Bona. I think he's gonna be fine. He gotta get stronger. Gotta get stronger in his legs. Gets pushed around a little easy, but he's good. Yeah, coming into the game, PG was shooting twice as many long twos as shots at the rim, which is obviously bad.
By the way, really good article from Dan Ollinger about PG's shooting struggles at rightstoRickySanchez.com. Worth checking out.
So he did get to the rim a bunch in this one. He got 0 free throws. Not to say he didn't deserve some, but it is still indicative of him like not really out muscling guys. He's not seeking out the contact. He's not the initiator. It does feel like he's constantly, the way to cover PG is to just kind of like get under him because he's not really a threat to blow by you and he's not a threat to draw fouls on you. And I would like that to change at this point. But his shot started to fall. He never hits that momentum 3 that would have cut it to 4.
No Sixer ever, by the way, hits that shot.
Only Maxey sometimes.
Only Maxey, yeah.
But yeah, it was fine. I was frustrated. There was one play early in the game when he like kind of just stood under the rim and waited for a rebound to come to him, and somebody got it from behind.
That's how he rebounds.
But I was pissed off. I wrote it down. But he did the rest of the game take it pretty personally. He finished with 11 rebounds. And
5 assists, 3 steals, I think.
So I was like, at least like watching him commit to that was good. And I do think this was for a guy who's very relaxed on the court, and his on-court personality is relaxed. I did think this was I think his intensity was on in the fourth quarter. I think he was like, we need to win this game. I really want to win this game. And they just couldn't, because they couldn't stop him on defense. There were so many wide open, like, prances down the lane for several, like Alvarado walks into an open three because nobody calls him. Dan Tice had the easiest dunk in the world down the middle. Like, it was just a confusion. Like, you don't see that stuff. Like, it looked like they just like fell apart, man. And it was just really, really, really a really bad loss in a month when they have a ton of tough teams coming up, many of which are on a back-to-back. And they
PG said that after the game, by the way. He said, I don't want to take any credit away from them, meaning the Pelicans, but this is a team we should have beat. It doesn't get any easier moving forward. And that's true. The next three games are Magic, Suns again, and then the Knicks.
People are going to start saying about the Sixers. This is the team we should have beaten because like they're bad. And at this point, they should expect to be bad. A couple Maxey things before. I mean, I thought Kelly had a fine game, hit some shots. I love one nice thing about Kelly I wrote at a happier point in the game is when like he gets his hands on balls. They only credit him for 2 steals. I feel like he got more than that, steals and blocks. He stole a pass from behind, took it the whole way for a momentum dunk. And I just love when they get these little runs from Kelly. It's like it's exclusively like Kelly only runs where he like makes plays on both ends a couple times in a row. Like he takes over a game.
How did he not have a concussion on that one dunk when he fell on his head, by the way?
I don't know, but
break his collar, his tailbone or something.
He's a machine. But it just feels like he takes over a game for time, and it reminds me of like a wrestler in a fatal 4-way tag team match when all of a sudden like that person is riveting the crowd with like 6 straight drop kicks in a row to send everyone over the top rope. Like it just feels
in on the tag team when he comes in when the other guy's struggling, he reaches out and gets him by the.
And here comes Kelly, just like fucking. Everybody's getting out of there. So it was cool, and he just plays hard, man. There's a lot of miscommunication when Kelly's involved in stuff defensively. That's the part where he struggles, like off ball and those kinds of communication issues. But when he locks up and he has good instincts, like getting his hands in there and stuff, and he makes plays. And he hit some corner threes, which was nice. Maxey, I mean, not a horrendous game for Maxey. He did have 12 assists. He was moving the ball, like they were doubling him, and he was making that easy pass most of the time, but it feels like he gets frustrated doing that.
Can I tell you, like we talked about it earlier in the year. I've talked about it with Michael Connor. I don't know if you have, and I think he might I hope he does a piece on it. But like he instructed me to go watch Maxey versus the Knicks in the Knicks series last year. And he was like, physically, like I think Maxey put on too much muscle. He is not as fast as he was in that series. And remember, that series was the end of the year. He was certainly slinkier. And I think he has changed himself physically. And I think that's hurting his game. Like I really do. He is not physically the same person. He talked about working on strength in the off season. And I worry, like he's what's the word I'm looking for? He's obviously 6'2" or whatever he is, but he's like he's not, I feel like his build, if he puts on too much muscle, it can like restrict those sorts of things. And I genuinely believe that he did. He doesn't look the same physically to me.
I think it just, he needed to get stronger to hold up defensively. And he is holding up defensively. He's been really excellent this year on defense. Not as much last night, but to me, it's if that is the case, which I don't feel like I can say with confidence, then it's the kind of thing you just got to get used to and play through it and becomes your new norm. But yeah, I mean, missed another couple of shots point blank at the rim, pretty inexplicable. I do think like there was Anthony Edwards' quote about teams just like doubling him and him being like frustrated by that. And the answer to me, the answer to like being doubled is not going like, fuck this, I have to find a way to score against double teams as a guard 30 feet from the basket. If you're Embiid and you're getting doubled, or like Jokic or something under the rim, and you can like spin the opposite way and finish through contact, whatever, sure. Like that's one thing. But to be a guard getting doubled 30 feet from the rim, every time they do that, it is a gift. It is an absolute gift. And the way to stop them from doubling them is to make the easy pass right away. And for like, imagine the Celtics. Imagine if you double Jason Tatum 30 feet from the rim. He makes a pass to a rolling like Horford, who makes a pass to a cutting Derek White, who has like immediately gets a dunk. And it's like, oh, you doubled, and they scored it. They dunked within 3 seconds of that.
Or a wide open three in the corner.
Or a wide open three in the corner to Peyton Pritchard. Like it is a quick decisiveness. And when it happens to Anthony Edwards, who I watch a lot, occasionally, and it happens to Maxey all the time, when they get doubled, the pass is like such a give up pass.
Right.
It's like fuck. All right, somebody else. There it is. It's like a lollipop pass to whoever.
Oh, by the way, Embiid too, at his worst, is like that as well.
Absolutely, 100%. And every time they double you, you need to like that is a chance to be so aggressive with the pass, where you jump and quickly get it to the right guy, who quickly get like there has to be like a knowledge of what's going to happen when this double team comes, and that's on Maxey, that's on Embiid when it happens to him, that's on the rest of the team, that's on Nick Nurse to like get into a system where every time they double Maxey, everyone like vocally should say thank you, and we get an easy look out of it. And so that was frustrating. Maxey I thought he did pass pretty well in this game on his scale. He found Ricky for a dunk in the dunker spot off a drive. I think he can do that shit all the time. I thought he had good pace and patience to like get to his mid range in this one, which I think is different than the contested ones that Paul George has been taking. When Maxey's open from like 14 feet, because the guy is worried about the drive, that's like a layup. That is a layup jump shot. He once he takes them and he takes his time and he's not rushing them, then they have to account for that. They bite on it, and then he slips to the basket for a layup. He got back to his old flow. It was nice to see. Like I thought it was just a good package. A couple threes, still missing from three. He was 2 of 8. I need him to shoot less off the dribble threes and more catch and shoot threes. It's just like very clear. You just don't need to. He had a couple bad misses on off the dribble threes, 2 back-to-back air balls on off the dribble threes. I just think like you gotta be more selective. And he's been more selective lately, but occasionally times when he's like, fuck, I gotta do this. And it's not, these aren't good shots. Like they aren't good shots. And there was a bad tunnel vision attempt late that got blocked by Javonte Green when he had open shooters on the wing. And he's just like got frustrated. He's like, I'm taking it in. And it's like, that's the game, dude. You got to just, there's a lack of poise happening at big moments for these guys.
All right. Well, there it is. Good stuff. By the way, Jared McCain officially out for the season. Yeah. The Sixers announced the statement from the Sixers. Jared McCain was reviewed today by the surgeon who performed surgery on his left knee December 17th. He is progressing well, but will be out for the remainder of the 2024-2025 season. You are holding out a little bit of hope that at the end of the year, maybe, but no, does not look like it's going to happen.
I really miss watching him play.
Yeah, he was fun. Now, I think it was Maxey talked about him a little bit yesterday in post game, and Nurse did pregame. It made me miss him. It made, like hearing those guys talk about him made me miss watching him. You forget how it feels like a million years ago that he was playing. Honestly, like I can barely remember it. I have to put myself in a headspace where I remember it. But Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by BodyBio. BodyBio. We tell you about a lot of BodyBio products. Mike and his butyrate for gut health. Me and Elite for I always forget the word, for hydration. Pure electrolytes. Talk to you about Fish Oil Plus. The only fish oil supplement you should be taking. If you're taking a different one, throw it out. Order Fish Oil Plus. Use code Norman for 20% off any BodyBio order. Any BodyBio order. Promo code Norman, but write it down because we're not going to put it in the show notes. There's a lot of fish oil supplements, quite honestly, and they've become very, very popular. And because of that, the quality has gone down. That's what happens usually. Quality goes down. There's less quality control with the companies. A lot of times the fish oil sits on shelves for a long time, goes rancid, becomes oxidized. It doesn't happen with BodyBio because they test every batch of everything that goes out of the BodyBio factory there. And if it doesn't meet their standards, you don't get it. Fish Oil Plus goes through all those checks. Normal testing that they do, which other places do not do. They test for heavy metals like mercury. You hear a lot about fish oil supplements or even eating a lot of fish and mercury. They test for that. They test for oxidation. They test for prolonged heat exposure. They have better process of actually getting the fish oil from the actual fish. They use wild herring caviar, which is higher quality. So what's going to happen is when you're taking Fish Oil Plus, your body is going to get more of the nutrients that it is supposed to get from a supplement like this. So if you're taking fish oil, if your parents, your significant other, your friends taking fish oil, have them switch to Fish Oil Plus and give them that promo code Norman and tell them they can get 20% off. So go to bodybio.com. That is promo code Norman. Once again, bodybio.com, promo code Norman. This came from Dennis at Rights To Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. Dennis in Tokyo here. The Sixers suck. Basketball question. Wait, is this the one? Oh, yeah. Basketball question. How would you spread the blame around for who is most responsible for this disgrace of a season? Between Nurse, Embiid, Maxey, Paul George, Morey, or other. You can either assign a percentage or just rank them. This is a tough one for me, right? Because every person that you want to blame shoulders some blame. But I do think there's an aspect of this, and I know this will sound like I'm making excuses, and I don't think I am. Well, maybe I am a little bit. There's an aspect of this where like it feels a little bit like they could be a little better or maybe 20% better. But I still would have done everything that Morey did. Again, the question being, does he need to sign Embiid to the extension? But that doesn't change this year, right? Like this year, it is still what it is. I don't see a better option out there to get better aside from Paul George, and they needed to get better. They needed a high quality player in that position. Like to me, it really just comes down to the fact that Embiid can't stay on the court for enough games. And the bad luck of the two Paul George like knee injuries early on, of course.
Yep.
And it set off this, and I just want to be clear. I think everybody deserves some blame in this. Like everybody does. But like to me, it's like everybody getting 18% rather than me looking at one person and saying, if Nick Nurse would just, okay, let's say Nick Nurse did a better job and he had them instead of 15 and 21, like one game at 500, we would feel a little bit better, but like the outlook of the season would not be that much different. So like, I guess I'm just sort of at this place where it feels like it is just and you've said this, a cursed season. Now, whether Embiid ever comes back, that is I think that's like a different discussion. It comes back to what we need him to be to win a championship. Different discussion, goes beyond this year. But if we're just looking at this year, I have a hard time giving a majority of the blame to anybody.
No, I agree with that. I think there's nobody that has more than 50% of the blame, I would say. And the prime culprits are obviously Nurse, Darryl, and the front office. Embiid, PG, Maxey.
Yep.
With Darryl, yeah, I mean, like other podcasts or entities you would listen to maybe would be willing to like put more blame on like the big pieces of roster construction, but I don't. I would have done the same thing. I would have signed Joel to this contract and said, you're here for life. I would have signed Maxey to his contract and said, thank you for, allowing us to keep you in like the 1-year deal so we could sign Paul George. Mm-hmm. And I would have signed Paul George. He's the best free agent player to ever choose to come to Philadelphia as a Sixer. And I would do it again, and I would still do it again. There's no other like big options. He's a good player, and when the team is clicking right, like he would be very good in the position that he is as a better version of Tobias. Embiid injuries, it fucking sucks, dude. Yeah, I mean, there's not many guys you can like build around that you would want to. Like I did this. He probably called you also, but there's somebody doing
the Washington Post guy.
The Washington Post guy.
Yeah, he sent me a message during the show yesterday, so I couldn't respond to him. Like I was like, I can call you after 6, so I didn't.
We've done that. I mean, people have.
How many times?
A bunch of times, and I'm always going back. I'm always doing the context. I'm never good. I honestly don't call me in those because I don't think I'm helpful because I will do a podcast at you about the last 11 years of Sixers basketball.
They just want 2 quotes.
They want 2 quotes, and I fundamentally can't give it to them. I can't. So
yes, I get most frustrated. And what Mike is explaining, there's a guy from Washington Post writing a story about Joel Embiid and fan relationship, it seemed like. And and who is it? The guy from the New York Times, Sopan Deb, I felt like has called me like 3 different times about like Sixers things, and I could tell what he wants me to say so he can have his quote for the story, and I just refuse to do it. Like it's the same. We are too deep in to give. They should just call Kate Scott.
Sure.
You know, she'll give them what they need in something like this. So anyway,
yeah, you can't do it for us. But yeah, so Joel injuries, PG injuries, and less effectiveness than you want. Maxey having a uncharacteristic, really rough shooting start to the season and some bad decision making and some bad attitude stuff. And Nurse not finding a way to like make it make sense and not to run easy stuff offensively that gets good looks or enough defensive togetherness and connectivity that makes it hard for other teams to score. Like they're just too porous everywhere. And so I think everybody's to blame. I really don't like the players should play better. For Daryl, it's like you can quibble with, okay, how many veterans do you have on this roster that like really have no upside in giving you some juice? Could you go like, but these you're talking about the veteran minimum guys. You're going like, do you need like Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon, who are all playing variations of very bad? And
Eric Gordon's been better, by the way. 45% from 3 in December, 45% from 3 in January.
Yeah, that's what he does. Should be doing that. Seemingly, when he's on the court defensively, they're bad, like in very serious, uncompromising ways. They're just so bad, and so something's got to be fixed there. Could you have gotten a couple more like juicy athlete role players that could step in and do something? But like, you know, they expected KJ Martin to be there, and he was helpful, and now he's hurt. And
he also got Yabusele, and he like
Yabuselle's great. Yeah, it's like that's what you're gonna get hits and misses when you play the veteran minimum game. They did last year. By the way, this year, McCain
getting hurt. Now, I don't think they expected him to contribute as much as but if he doesn't get hurt, then all of a sudden we're not seeing Kyle Lowry as much as we're seeing him, or Reggie Jackson as much as we're seeing.
And also, but another signing that's been bad is Drummond. Drummond hasn't been good.
He sucks.
He hasn't been good, and he's been hurt.
He's always sucked.
And yeah, so and they're also keeping a roster spot open for financial purposes, and we'll fill that after the deadline. But is the time to just go like, well, let's find a way to make it work and bring somebody in that could help, because we're playing like two-way guys that aren't effective. And they waive Pete Nance, and why not fill that third two-way spot right now? Why hasn't that happened? What's going on there? And it's just, so it's like a little bit of, and I think the fact that Daryl hasn't been like publicly talking, people that are very engaged in the Sixers are a little bit like, where the fuck's he been? What's he doing?
Right.
Why isn't he saying anything? Nick Nurse, I think, has been a little bit less cranky lately, but is also not the like positive, motivational, like
he's not going to make you feel better about stuff.
He's not going to make anybody feel better. Yeah. He's upset, and he's also like a kind of bizarre guy, but not in like a charming way when you're losing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Caleb Martin was inexplicably bad for the first few months, and now has righted the ship a little bit. But
by the way,
they haven't been. It's everybody. Everybody is at fault. The system in place is bad. The players are not playing well enough, and injuries have been crushing them. And so it's like, to me, it's just as we're like a month away from the deadline. The answer is like, if they trade significant pieces to improve this season,
without that move improving following season,
without there being like this guy's on a great deal, and by the way, Herb Jones tearing his labrum, that's another guy off the table for this that is signed to this season and next season.
Well, you can come back from a torn labrum,
but do you think they would trade for him before he's back from?
I don't know. I have no idea. But we don't need to. I don't know how bad it is. Sometimes you don't even do surgery on a labrum. You just let it.
I think because it's the Pelicans, I think they are gonna sit him for like I thought I saw 6 weeks. Maybe I'm
6 weeks, but that takes him trade deadline.
Past the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're trading for someone that is not actively playing and playing
Yeah.
well. So yeah, the idea of like trading positive value at this point for a deadline, I think is insane, because they just haven't, the team that exists has not proven that they deserve any, not even all in, but even like slightly in, like move at the deadline. And so I would personally rather them trade a piece, like whether it's Oubre or something, for like a helpful future piece, whether it's a pick or a player that was signed to a longer term deal that it's like cheaper or whatever, a early second round pick, whatever you can get, like get something that you can then use later, because this season is just not happening. It's just not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. The idea of that, like maybe they'll limp in the play and maybe they'll finish like 38 and 44. And then maybe they'll be like the team nobody wants to face. And then they're going to lose in 5 games to whoever, because they're just not a good team. They're just not as good of a team as those other guys.
I think too, and sometimes I get like, I think I come across as like not a Maxey guy. I love him. I think he's a really good player, but I do think we are seeing, and I think we're on the same page of this. Like, he can't carry a team. He's not that kind of player. He is not a top 12 player in the NBA. He's likely never going to be a top 12 player in the NBA.
No.
His combination of skills is very particular in that he's like a spark plug guy. His assist numbers are good this year, but he's not a table setter sort of guy on offense. And he is specifically, it's like everybody on this team, specifically the 3 guys, we're just sort of thought of as if these 3 guys are there, they will be able to play off each other in a way that minimizes their deficiencies and accentuates their positives.
Which I still believe.
Which I believe as well. But without those guys, without even one of them, it accentuates like their deficiencies, I think, in a real way. So,
Yeah.
I think Maxey, I think our expectation was this team would be better without Embiid than they are. But I think generally people's expectation was Maxey had hit a point where he was good enough to keep them afloat. And he is, and by the way, there's no shame in that. Like, there's a lot of really good players that are not good enough to keep their team afloat when Devin Booker's not good enough to keep his team afloat if the team isn't any good, and he's a better player than Tyrese Maxey is. So it sucks, and I agree with you. And as far as Daryl talking, my response has been like, I don't know. I know I do agree that him doing some press availability so people could get a little like their blood less satiated might be helpful. Yeah. But I also don't think there's anything he's going to say that is going to make anybody feel any better. No. The answer to why they don't fill the roster spot is the second apron.
Yep.
The answer to he's not going to give you a good answer on the Embiid extension. He's going to tell you that signing Paul George was the right move. And so you almost know what his answers are going to be. And I don't think he can say anything that is going to make anybody feel better. And he's not going to concede anything that you want him to concede. So I kind of understand why he's not doing it, though I think it would be helpful if he did.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, here's the, they're obviously not trading Embiid, and they shouldn't. The idea that they're trade Embiid and build around Maxey, I think if you're saying that, I just don't think you're a serious person.
And they can't trade Embiid until after the season anyway. Even
of course, I get being frustrated and wanting them to do something, and this season fucking blows. So you're just like, just do something. I'm annoyed by this guy. I'm over it already. I think is insane. I think if you're trading Embiid, then you're just trading everybody, and you're going like, let's do a version of the process again and see if we can strike gold and land somebody, whatever. Like, building around Maxey McCain, then you're the Blazers. Then you're the Dame and CJ Blazers, but probably worse.
If you're lucky, yes.
You're Dame and CJ Blazers, but probably worse.
Yes.
So to me, it is not a satisfying answer, and I get it because this has been a terrible season. It's frustrating and a long time before next season starts. But the answer to me for this season is, this season doesn't matter. Try to gear up for next year and hope everybody's healthy and hope there's more chemistry and continuity. If you tell me you want to fire Nick Nurse and get a better coach in there because he's not the right guy to be around these people, or set up a system or whatever. I won't argue with that. I'm not going to save Nick Nurse's job. I'm not going to go to bat for him. If you want to tell me that like somebody online was pitching Terry Stotts, fine, whatever. Yeah, I don't care.
Sure.
But as far as like roster wise, you got Maxey, George, Embiid for next season, a healthy McCain, hopefully, a little more connectivity and continuity between those guys. Caleb Martin will still be here. Maybe you get lucky and sign Yabusele for another deal because he wants to be here long term because he likes it. And Bona as the backup center. And you just go like, okay, that's the core, and we'll try to find other pieces. Maybe KJ Martin stays. Maybe they just don't trade him, and he's here on an $8 million expiring next season, and is a solid like 6th or 7th man. That it's not a satisfying answer. It's not fun. It's not thrilling. It's not like I just want to do something, so let me just like punch a hole in the wall, trade somebody, trade everybody, end this shit. But like the most optimal way for the Sixers to theoretically contend again is to just like run it back. Like that's just it. It's not sexy.
It's not an answer that makes everybody feel great.
No, I don't feel good about saying it. It sucks. But I think this year doesn't matter anymore. You just you try to like work on some stuff, build some chemistry so that next year you can like hit the ground running and be like, okay, last year was a wasted year. But at least now we're all healthy and our legs are relatively fresh and we can like make the push this year. But because there's just no other, it should work if they're all healthy and they're just not.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by LL Pavorsky Jewelers, our first ever sponsor. What is it, like 7 years ago? LL Pavorsky Jewelers. He was like, you guys got something here. And I think for a year we were like, no, we don't. Absolutely not. And then LL became our first advertiser. Now, 7 years later, over 400 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have purchased engagement rings from LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Not only that, LL is way better looking than he was when he even started with us. I mean, it's true. It's true. He was a good-looking guy then. Now he's just fucking excellent. I think of that number sometimes in the 400s of our listeners who have gone to LL are now married with a ring because we said to go to this guy. But I feel good about it because he is a core member of our community, and he treats everybody who comes to him like that. Everyone who has ever gone to LL, now you got a jeweler. You don't have to worry about finding a jeweler. You got a jeweler for all your jewelry needs. But you start off with LL when you get an engagement ring, and you don't need anybody else. And he treats our listeners with great respect, great service, great product, great price. I just absolutely love it. Now, when you buy a ring from LL, you have to make an appointment because he wants everybody to be able to get the time and service that only LL can provide. So it is not to make the process harder. It's to make the process easier and better. And that way he can find out what you're looking for before you even come into the store. And that way he has everything ready for you. So if you want to make one of those appointments, give him a call, 215-627-2252. Send him an email, lee@llpavorsky.com. Shoot him a tweet @llpavorsky. Store right there at 707 Walnut if you want to go in person, or he can do everything sort of like online with you as well, if that's what you'd prefer to do. He is a supporter of our charities, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge. That is LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Everything's bad, but LL's good.
There you go. All right. Question. This is from Jonathan, rights2rickysanchez@gmail.com. In retrospect, would Daryl have done better to give Harden a max contract instead of waiting and giving one to Paul George?
I don't think that's not the way things happened, though.
Well, sure it is. I mean, they could have just given.
I think Daryl wanted to give. Harden went to China and told a bunch of children that he's. Well, Harden didn't want to give
Daryl didn't want to give him a max contract. Daryl offered him like a 2-year thing or something, or a 3-year thing.
Right. Okay. So you're saying the max. Okay. I understand. So if we're assuming that the thing that it's still kind of vague exactly what Harden thinks Daryl lied about.
I think it's giving him a max contract.
A full ride max. Yeah.
Yes, full ride max.
No, I don't think so. I think they would be. Yeah, I
think they would be better right now. Harden is a floor raiser. In this case, Paul George would be a ceiling raiser. Yeah. And I think it is. You can just see it with the Clippers right now, and it lulls you into this false sense of what you think your team is. That he is so good in the regular season. He is very much like Peyton Manning in regular season, in that he has figured the game out in a way that is math and is sort of like he's a great regular season player and is almost like a cheat code. And he would, in this case, be getting Maxey easier shots. He would be getting Paul George easier shots. That's why Paul George had such a great year last year. But in the playoffs, he wants no part of it. He just wants no part of it. And so I think it was still the right move. I think they would be better now if they had James Harden instead of Paul George, but I don't think it would increase their title odds. I think it would decrease their title odds.
I agree. I think Harden has had a nice year, like being the engine for that team and keeping things moving. They are playing well as a team. If you look at Harden's stats this year, he is shooting a career low 38.9% from the field.
Yeah.
Career low 33.9% from three.
By the way, the at the rim stuff we started seeing in the Brooklyn series or whatever, where he couldn't get to the rim. Yeah.
Turning it over almost 5 times a game. Like, they're winning games and he is a part of that, but he's also 35 and shooting some of the lowest percentages ever. I mean, Norman Powell's had an excellent season for them. Ivica Zubac is a really, really good player. And I think they're just like super well coached, and those guys by Ty Lue, and those guys just like compete their ass off and win games all the way up and down the roster. And so yeah, they're going to be a first round playoff exit, I think, unless Kawhi comes back into some crazy form. But yeah, they have the 23rd ranked offense and the 6th ranked defense. Obviously, Harden is not like the engine of that defense. I think Ty Lue is just a really good coach. So you flip them. Maybe they're probably a little bit better this year. Maybe Maxey has less on his plate and they make a little bit more sense. But I agree. I think there's no version of that team that like wins a championship. I think there's a version still of the Paul George, Maxey and B team that does. Not this year, obviously.
So this is actually I think the saddest news of the pod, and this has been a pretty depressing pod overall. This email came from Anne Marie. Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ. Just wanted to bring this to your attention. Long August is over, so I don't expect you'll cover it on the pod, but I do hope you'll get a laugh out of this. Well, we are covering it on the pod. This came from The Sun, a tabloid, but I had heard rumors about this, and it looks like it's gotten out there, so it's true. Headline: Michael Rubin's famous annual white party, quote, canceled forever.
No.
After Diddy's similar soirees, quote, ruined the theme.
Diddy ruined it.
So here is...
Diddy ruined white.
So here is the article. Michael and his people, this is an insider told the U.S. Sun. Michael and his people...
An insider? Insider where?
Yeah.
Insider. Inside of Michael Rubin's home.
Yeah, the Shams of Michael Rubin. Michael, this is just a guy sitting watching his phone for texts about stories about Michael Rubin. Michael and his people thought the white party couldn't get any bigger than it already is, so they wanted to end it on a high note. Plus, they are now looking to focus more on charitable events. It is the biggest celebrity party of the year, so it's a big deal they're ending it, but also they wanted to end it before it got corny.
Oh, wow.
It was also getting completely out of control with people trying to snag an invite.
Imagine it getting corny. Yep. Thank God we avoided that.
Yep.
Unreal.
Yep.
Ended before it got corny. Diddy ruined it.
I never
We're
got to go.
We're focusing on charitable events now.
Yep.
That actually, charitable events weren't cool earlier, and actually, what was cool is forcing everyone to dress in a color that shows spills easily. But now what's cool is actually helping some people instead of spending like however many fucking millions of dollars they spent on that dumb fuck party so people can take a picture and leave. Oh man, well, if it was a literal movie, all movies do come to an end. You can't have sequels forever.
Well, let me ask you this, Mike.
Rest in peace to the white party that just was the dumbest thing in the world.
Far be it from me.
I'm going to miss it in August, I will say.
Far be it from me to question anyone's intentions. But if the choice was the white party or charitable events, what? Like,
that choice existed before, I think.
Yes. I mean, like, you could have always done that. Now, look,
I just have some people over for dinner and don't fucking post about it. Like, what are you doing? You're grown up. How old is Michael Rubin? He's like 47?
Yeah, he's probably about my age, maybe a little older. Maybe my guess is 52. Hold on.
That's an insane age to be like
52. He's 52. Yeah.
St. Age should be like, well, my parties are over because Diddy ruined it. I'm going to take some more video of myself throwing a baseball at the ground. Just awful stuff. What a fucking, oh man, these people think they're so cool and they're just not. They're just not. Grow up. Grow up.
By the way, like, how about this?
Get a job.
The Diddy party doesn't ruin your party if you're not doing fucking
same shit.
freaky sex shit there. Like
The same shit. Well,
yeah,
I
like-
think probably they are. There's a
You don't know
secret
that.
part of the movie
We don't
that's
know
in a
that.
different
We don't
room.
know that. We don't know that. We don't know that. We
I
don't
said
know
probably.
That. We don't. That is Mike's opinion. That is Mike's opinion.
If you're comparing yourself to that, then I think
Right.
that
You're asking
then,
for it.
then you've made the comparison.
Yes, I go to parties all the time. There's never any of that
Yeah,
shit.
you're
there,
never
and
like,
nobody
uh-oh, is
stands
this a
on it.
Diddy thing?
Yeah, it's not like people, if a restaurant gets closed down because of health violations, other restaurants aren't like, well, we can't serve food anymore. You
Yeah.
know, like,
No, my friends Shane and Tiff are having a party. Is it going to be a white party thing? Is it going to be a Diddy thing there?
is there a case
gotta
of
ask.
baby oil? Yeah.
Fucking people are fucking out of their minds, dude.
Yeah.
Just be normal.
So we end this on I think a very funny email from shit. I can't read it because I just started saying his name because the first line is please keep me anonymous.
Oh, wow.
Fuck.
Okay,
Fuck.
we'll save it for the future.
Yeah.
And
Save
we'll
it for- he's
label
got
it
a
to someone
different
else.
He's got a different job. God, motherfucker. Then I guess we'll leave it with this from Santosh, Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. I was listening to your recent pod talking about Tyrese's demeanor. It made me realize that Tyrese mimics a gun loading and firing for his 3-pointers this season. Did he do that before? I sound like I'm a million years old, but it feels very emblematic of this year's Tyrese, and I kind of hate it. Love the pod. I don't remember him doing it before. He definitely does it now. He like loads it and then like with his other hand.
Yeah, it's like a 3-hand. There's some like rule about it. I don't know. But like Mikal Bridges did it. Like everybody does that shit. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I'd rather he have to do the celebration more, to be honest.
Yes, I would love to see that celebration more.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Texas Ohio State game yesterday?
Nah, I don't
college
watch
football?
college sports.
No, me
really.
neither. Usually, I just had it on for a little bit.
It's a good game.
It was, some of it was, yeah, and it didn't affect. I don't think it affected the game. I think they ended up scoring on this play anyway. But like, Texas tight end catches a pass, nice route, goes up the sideline, and like stiff arms a guy and like throws him to the ground basically.
Oh, I saw that, and he pointed at him.
And he pointed at him.
I saw the highlight, and then they threw a flag on him.
And they threw a flag, and I'm just like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Why is it? It's unsportsmanlike. We are supposed to be sportsmen, guys. Look at each other. We're supposed to be sportsmen. It's just like, and then the announcer, I think it was Kirk Herbstreit, the announcer being like, that's just he wouldn't have gotten flagged if he didn't do the point. It's like, well, you got to just be smarter. You got to be smarter in that situation. I'm just like,
it wasn't even that big a deal.
Who gives a shit? Like, truly, who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck? Why does that affect the game? If it was like delayed the game because this guy is celebrating for too long and the ref's trying to like spot the ball and that guy is still like dancing on that guy's grave after he shoved him to the ground, then you're like, okay, fine, throw a flag. But pointing at a guy after you stiff arm is nothing. It just blows me away. The like terminal ref brain and like rules must be followed and celebrations must be pointed towards your team and not towards their team. And you can't, it's just like, it's all such fucking bullshit, dude. It's like the idea, the Tampa Bay thing where the Bucks, where the guy, I think it was McMillan, the receiver, is that his name? Who like also did like, thought they did a gun celebration, but really was just doing first down. And they were like, you can't do a gun celebration, that's a flag. And then he scored a touchdown and the Buccaneers stadium erupts in like cannon fire because that's their thing. And he was wearing a flag. It's so dumb. It is so dumb and pointless. And like, we are holding these athletes who are playing their ass off to like unrealistic standard of like play intense, but also don't do anything and be like a model student. It's just all so fucking stupid. And I think honestly, that is the problem with the world. I think I could write a paper. I could write a college thesis paper on that being like the core issue of why everything is bad. Of we are focusing on the wrong thing and penalizing people and acting like law and order is being upheld because you just flagged a guy for pointing. Grow up. Everyone should.
Before we go, we are recording this 28 hours and 24 minutes before the Eagles kick off at home against the Green Bay Packers. The line, last I checked, had gone to 5.5, which makes me even more nervous that it's moving in the Eagles' direction. Jalen Hurts out of concussion protocol. A.J. Brown hasn't practiced in 2 weeks, really, because of his knee. Mike, your pick, your official DraftKings Sportsbook pick, Eagles minus 5.5 against the Green Bay Packers.
I think Eagles win, Packers cover.
Okay, yeah. I had 23-21 Eagles, a game that will make me insane watching it, and I'll feel terrible until the minute it's over.
I think they're up 2 scores and the Packers score late to make it look
And oh, by the way,
yeah.
Okay.
But I feel kind of good, which obviously makes me feel bad.
Yeah, can't do that. Can't feel good. Yeah.
But there's going to be a flag on some like celebration or something stupid, and people are going to be like, Mike's mad. And I want you to know, yes, he is.
We are going to do a podcast after that Knicks game. That's going to be horrible. So we'll talk to you after that. Luckily, they played during the Eagles game on Sunday, so you can make pretend it didn't happen. We will talk to you next time. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, like face.